In my opinion, intermittent fasting is the most powerful method of weight loss, bar none. Its efficacy when it comes to specifically targeting body fat and burning it for energy is unparalleled. It's how I was able to initially transform my body 8 years ago, and I've been able to maintain my results ever since. It's also something that all my students inside the Fat Loss Accelerator incorporate into their daily routine, and they've all gotten some amazing results. So you know it works. But if you ask the average person what they think about fasting, they're probably gonna say that it's bad for you. They'll say that it's gonna put your body in starvation mode, you're gonna lose muscle, you won't have any energy, you're gonna feel weak, and all sorts of negative things without really any evidence to back it up. It's kind of just been the generally accepted truth about fasting. You're hurting yourself. What are you doing? We need to do an intervention. It's basically the worst thing that you can do to your body. But is it? Today, I'm gonna share with you and clear the air on the 8 most popular intermittent fasting myths that I can't believe still exists, and we're gonna debunk them and put them to rest once and for all. Before we get started, give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell to get notified every time I post a new video every week. Myth number 1, let's start with a big one. Fasting puts your body in starvation mode. This has been ingrained in our heads for decades now through brilliant marketing by food companies that skipping a meal is somehow bad for you. This is also how the myth of breakfast being the most important meal of the day came about. And if you're a breakfast cereal company, of course you're gonna keep towing this line. And this is the #1 problem of fasting, not to its own fault. It's more of a reflection of our current relationship when it comes to food. And it's not good. Like, we're extremely addicted to food. Like, we used to just eat 3 meals a day back in the 60s and 70s, and obesity wasn't a problem. Seriously, ask your grandma if snacking was a thing back then, and she'll most likely say no. She'll say that it's gonna ruin your appetite. Now, we have small meals in between our bigger meals. We eat like 5, 6, 7 meals a day, and nobody bats an eye. And that's why fasting gets a bad rap. It goes against the grain. It goes against conventional wisdom. And there's nothing sexy about it. It doesn't sell any products. And selling food is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Now think about it this way, because I'm a numbers guy. If you eat 3 meals a day, that's over 1,000 meals a year. If you eat 6 more meals, then that's over 2,000. To think that 1 day of fasting, if you do a 24-hour fast, for example, will somehow cause irreparable damage is comical at best. Now, if you've been following my channel, you'll know that I'm a big proponent of following key concepts from the primal way of living, because that's how we evolved as human beings. Back then, food was scarce, especially in the winter. Sometimes our Paleolithic ancestors would go a full day or a few days without food. If fasting, which is what they were forced to do, put our bodies in starvation mode, then we wouldn't have had the energy to hunt, and that would have been the end of our species. And you wouldn't be here watching this video right now. Myth number 2. Fasting will slow down your metabolism. This goes hand in hand with the first myth, because the idea of starvation mode refers to the notion that our metabolism decreases severely and our body shuts down in response to fasting. No. There is zero research that fasting, even fasts up to 3 days, decreases your metabolism. In fact, metabolism actually increases during fasting. You're probably like, what? How? Let me explain. There's a study out there where 4 days of continuous fasting actually increased basal metabolic rate, or BMR, so that's just a fancy term for your metabolism, by 12%. Noradrenaline, which is a counter-regulatory hormone, is also increased by 117%, keeping your energy levels high. This is how we're still able to hunt and stay focused during a fast. And I personally experienced this when I did a 7-day water fast. I did something physical every day, I worked out, and I felt perfectly fine. And you should check out my video about it if you're interested. I literally felt like I could see through walls and taste sound during those 7 days. And I also did it with my 60-year-old mom, and she got amazing results from it, and she felt great the entire time. Going back to the study, after 4 days of fasting, fat oxidation was also increased by 370%, which means that your body simply switches to burning fat for energy when there's no food available, because that's what body fat is there for. It's stored energy waiting to be used. And you have about 100,000 calories worth of stored energy in your butt, thighs, and belly. And again, this makes sense from a survival standpoint. If we don't eat, if there's no food available, our body simply uses our stored energy as fuel so we can find more food. Our Paleolithic ancestors would have considered us gluttons for eating 3 meals a day, let alone 6. Scheduled meals are completely made up anyway. Like, think about it. We, the ultimate top of the food chain apex predator, are the only species on the planet that feels the need to shove Fruit Loops down their throats first thing in the morning. It makes absolutely no sense if you think about it. Like, sharks don't do that. Lions don't do that. And we're also the fattest. Do you know what actually slows down your metabolism? A calorie restriction diet. Yep. Cutting calories slows down your metabolism. You know, the calories in versus calories out model? Yeah, that messes up your metabolism. Myth number 3, fasting makes you burn muscle. Another big one. Ask your average bro at the gym and they'll tell you with full conviction that fasting will burn your muscles. You're gonna wither away and you're gonna be skin and bones. This person is completely misinformed and probably graduated from the Bro Science Academy. The problem is a lot of trainers, influencers, and so-called experts also believe in this myth. Here's the scientific truth. The only time that your body starts burning muscle when you're fasting is when your body fat percentage is at 4%. If you look like that. If you don't look like that, then you're perfectly fine. Even elite marathon runners still carry around 8% body fat. And as mentioned earlier, we're carrying at least 100,000 calories worth of body fat. Listen, we survived 2.5 million years of evolution through the harshest conditions known to man. Why would your body burn muscle when you have an abundant amount of fat? The human body is a little bit smarter than that. If our bodies did not preserve muscle when food was scarce, when we were forced to fast, we wouldn't have survived as a species because we would not have been able to hunt. There's a study out there where they got participants to do alternate day fasting for 70 days, and the results were decreased body weight by 6%, fat mass decreased by 11.4%, and lean mass, so that's your muscle and bones, did not change at all. In simple terms, after 70 days of alternate day fasting, the participants lost a lot of body fat, but they did not lose muscle. Here's how your body actually burns energy so you can educate your bro at the gym. Your body uses stored glycogen first during the first 24 to 48 hours of fasting. Then after that, it switches to burning fat, while protein oxidation actually decreases. So rather than burning muscle when we're fasting, we actually start conserving it because the human body is extremely efficient at recycling old proteins and turning it into new ones. How? Because fasting is one of the most potent stimuli of growth hormone secretion, and increased growth hormones helps maintain muscle mass. Some people even refer to growth hormones as the real fountain of youth because of its anti-aging effects in the human body. There's even one study that shows a 5-fold increase in human growth hormones in response to a 2-day fast. Simply put, fasting doesn't make you lose muscle. In fact, short-term fasting is 4 times better at preserving lean muscle mass compared to a calorie restriction diet. Training in the fasted state is actually starting to become more mainstream. And that's actually myth number 4, and that you should never work out on an empty stomach. Again, tell your trainer that this is not true, because the elevated human growth hormone stimulated by fasting, which is extremely anabolic, should increase muscle mass and make recovery from your workouts easier and faster. Who doesn't want that? And fasting was how I was able to transform myself from that chubby dude on the left to a national level weightlifter. And I've been able to maintain my results ever since. It's the same thing with all my students inside the Fat Loss Accelerator program. But don't just take it from me. If you're from North America who watches football, then you should be familiar with a guy named Herschel Walker. He's been doing a daily 24-hour fast, so he just eats 1 meal a day for the last 20-something years. And he played in the NFL, the highest level of football. Then he transitioned to MMA afterwards, and he looks like an action figure. Speaking of MMA, UFC fighters like George St. Pierre, who is a world champion, also routinely trains in the fasted state, and he looks pretty good. Martin Birkin, who many consider the pioneer of the 16-hour fast, looks like that. Brad Pilon, author of Eat Stop Eat, also looks pretty good. Are you starting to catch my drift here? Myth number 5, fasting will make you sick. It's quite the opposite. Let me read you some of the benefits of fasting. It improves mental clarity and concentration. It induces weight loss and body fat loss. It lowers blood sugar levels. It also improves insulin sensitivity. It increases energy. It improves fat burning. It lowers blood cholesterol. It prevents Alzheimer's disease. It decreases inflammation, which is the root cause of all sorts of disease. It extends life. It even reverses the aging process. And again, this is because of the increase in growth hormone response and its anti-aging benefits. So how could fasting make you sick? There's even studies out there that supports that fasting might help prevent cancer because of autophagy, which is a detox on a cellular level that only gets triggered when you stop eating. And animals inherently knows the healing benefits of fasting. Think about the last time your dog got sick. Was it ravenous and wanted to eat? No, your dog instinctively knew that it shouldn't eat. Long story short, fasting will not make you sick. It's quite the opposite. It heals your body. And I love this quote from Hippocrates, often considered the father of medicine. To eat when you're sick is to feed your sickness. Side note, do you know what actually makes you sick? Eating a lot of refined carbs and highly processed sugary foods. You know, foods from the base of that food pyramid that a lot of people follow. Myth number 6, fasting will cause your blood sugar to crash. No. Again, you need to give your body a little bit more credit than this. Your body is super smart. It does an amazing job, especially when it comes to regulating blood sugar levels in the proper range through the secretion of certain hormones in your body. And this is especially true if you just do short-term fasting, because your body will simply break down glycogen from the liver. Even if you do a longer fast, your body can manufacture its own glucose through a process called gluconeogenesis, using the glycerol that's a byproduct from breaking down fat. Number 7, another myth is that fasting causes brain fog. This is simply not true. The human brain can actually run on an alternate fuel called ketone bodies, a byproduct when fat is metabolized. Yes, your brain has been running mostly on glucose all this time, but that's only because you're eating a lot of foods that contains carbs. When you start fasting and your stored glycogen runs out, we start burning body fat and we start producing ketone bodies, which are then able to cross that blood-brain barrier and feed your brain cells. In fact, ketones are a much cleaner burning fuel compared to carbs, which leaves free radicals that can cause oxidative damage that leads to inflammation in the body. And chronic inflammation can cause all sorts of nasty disease, including diabetes, cancer, arthritis, IBD, autoimmune, and cardiovascular disease, just to name a few. Think of your body as a car. When it's running on ketones, think of it as an electric car, like a Tesla. It's running on clean fuel. When it's running on carbs, especially refined carbs and sugar, think of it as an old car running on diesel, which again is dirty fuel. This is why pairing intermittent fasting with the keto diet has gained a lot of popularity, because it keeps you in nutritional ketosis, which means that your body's predominant fuel source is just ketones. Myth number 8, you'll die of hunger when you fast. This is probably one of my favorites. Have you ever skipped a meal, or have you ever inadvertently skipped a meal because you were too busy? Maybe you had a meeting or you're too busy studying. What happened? Nothing. You didn't die. A lot of the time, we eat mostly out of habit. Hunger is simply a learned response through years of practice. You know, from those scheduled meals, which again are completely made up. Listen, fasting is nothing new. We've been fasting since the beginning of time. A lot of religions, which again has been practiced for hundreds of years, incorporate some sort of fasting into their routine. Think of Muslims during Ramadan, for example. Simply put, the human body is designed to fast. It comes with our natural factory setting. It's really only when we start eating 4, 5, 6, 7 meals a day that things start to go sideways. Now, I just have to point out that you still have to pair intermittent fasting with the proper diet in order to maximize its benefits. Like, it doesn't just give you the green light to hit up your local all-you-can-eat buffet because you fasted. It doesn't work like that. And that's the thing, very important. There's definitely a right way and a wrong way to fast. If you're just starting out, there's gonna be an adaptation period of about 2 to 3 weeks. You need to teach your body to be fat adapted and metabolically flexible first. And if you're new to fasting, don't think of it as a punishment. Think of it as simply taking a break from eating and giving your body a chance to reap all of its amazing benefits. Do this enough times and I guarantee you're gonna feel amazing, you're gonna have more energy, you're gonna be healthy, you're gonna lose a lot of weight, and your clothes are gonna fit better. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. The next question then becomes, how are you actually supposed to eat if you want to lose weight? Because here's the thing, 80% of your body composition is determined by your diet. You can't just freestyle this part. Do you have a proven plan that you can follow? To help you with that, I want to give you a free copy of my Lean Body Blueprint. This is how I melted all the fat around my stomach without depriving myself of my favorite foods or wasting hours at the gym. It's a simple 4-step process specifically designed for busy professionals, and it's the exact same blueprint that I teach to all my private coaching clients, and they've all gone to see some amazing results. If you want to be the next success story, then download your free copy of the Lean Body Blueprint right now. There's going to be a link somewhere at the top here or in the description box. Just click on it, type in your email, and I'll send it to you right away. All right, that's all I've got. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and share it with your friends. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I post a new video every week. And hey, leave a comment below if you have any questions about this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Virtual high five.